Alrighty, and so here is the reproductive tract of my hen cut open for us to see. And we can start up here with her ovary. This is what produces the ovum and is responsible for gamete production. We can see all the yolks in their follicles here growing. It seems that this hen was a very avid egg layer. And then here are her biggest yolks up here. Yolks develop within the follicle of the ovary and they rupture at the avascular line or suture line during ovulation. And so here at her biggest yolk, we can see this little line right here is what I believe to be the suture line where the follicle would rupture during ovulation. And then here we can see a ruptured follicle, which I believe to be the one responsible for this hunkin egg over here. All right, and then once ovulation occurs and the yolk ruptures from the follicle, the infundibulum will contract and envelop the yolk during ovulation. And so it receives that yolk, and then it goes, as the yolk travels through, it goes through what's called sperm nests. And so the second main function of the infundibulum, besides receiving the yolk, is that it has these teeny tiny microscopic storage sites for sperm cells, also known as sperm nests, as I said before. There, the sperm are viable for 1 to 2 weeks, and so anytime a yolk is ovulated and has a viable germinal disc, it will go through the infundibulum, be fertilized by those sperm, and then continue on. And now that that yolk is fertilized, it goes into the magnum, which is the longest part of the oviduct, which I believe goes all the way to here. This is what produces that thick white or that thick albumin that immediately surrounds the yolk. As you can see, it's very bumpy, has raised and depressed regions that secrete that thick white that covers that yolk. It has a very large surface area, as you can see, that's to cover around the whole egg. And it spends about 3 hours in here. And as it goes through the magnum, we come to the line that divides the magnum and the isthmus, and into the isthmus we go. The isthmus is a shortened region of the oviduct right before the uterus. And it puts the membranes around the thick white, and it spends around 1¼ hours in here. And as we go through the isthmus, we go into the uterus, also known as a shell gland. It has 2 main functions. It places the thin white on the outside of the membrane, and then it places the shell membrane and the white shell around it. And then it spends around 20 hours in here. And I believe, in my egg's sake, that it had probably just entered from the isthmus in to the uterus, because as you can see, it was probably just started developing that thin membrane right before it developed that thick white shell. And so it spends around 20 hours in here, so it probably was just starting its endeavor into this uterus. But as it goes and as it gets that thick white shell, before it moves into the uterus, it will do something called O-positioning, where it will rotate from the small end over here to the large end so that gravity can help it come out. So after those 20 hours and the O-positioning, it will move into the vagina, where it will be stored for 25 to 27 hours. And then after its time has come, it will go out through the cloaca, big end first, gravity helping it along the way. And there is my hen. Thank you.